Welcome everyone to my first masterclass on the Thriving Leader. I'm very excited to be sharing this knowledge and this information with you all today. If you've got any questions, if you can just put them in the chat and we'll get to them in the FAQ section in the question section. And this presentation is about 25 minutes. And I'm timing myself, starting now. So I've been gathering this body of evidence and this information for a couple of decades, and it is amazing to be here today to be sharing this finally, and it's kind of like the big reveal. So in 2018, I was given an opportunity to really see and solidify this understanding and see this in action. So what happened in 2018 was that the Discovery Digital team, they had a massive exodus. The head of department and his 2IC both resigned at the same time. The team was effectively captainless. It was a hard time for the team. There was daily conflict with the product team and business, and they were just fighting, pointing fingers, resentment and anger, a lot of frustration. That effectively people were jumping ship. Because after the head left and the 2IC, then developers resigned, designers, business analysts, and it was a chaotic time. So what Discovery did was that they brought in an external person, a woman, for the first time as the head of that department. And everybody was like, okay, let's wait and see what happens. Quite a lot of skepticism and nerves around whether this would work or not. About 8 months after that decision was made, Discovery had one of the most successful campaigns ever called the Vitality Open. In this campaign, an app was developed for the whole of South Africa where non-customers could now interact with Discovery's products through a mobile app. The app was built within, it was 6 weeks, and 500,000 people downloaded and used the app. It was absolutely incredible. But what was more incredible was 6 weeks to develop, 500,000 people used this app, not one resignation received. And so the question was, how did this head of department, this newbie, get this right? And her explanation for her way of work was that she used a combination of systems thinking, 20 years experience in corporate, as well as an application of quantum physics, neuroscience, epigenetics, and even the law of attraction. So how do I know? I haven't worked out. It was me. So what was happening was the 18 months prior to me being called to join Discovery, I had immersed myself in a whole lot of different teachers. So I was going through an existential crisis. And at the time, I was just looking for answers and a reason for us to exist as human beings. And I look at these pictures on the screen, and these beautiful teachers came into my life and they showed me this different way of being. So when I started studying, I actually wanted to find a way out. I was like, tell me what the exam is as human beings so that I can finish quickly. And then I'll be the first to finish, and then I can end it, I can be taken and it'll be over. But that didn't happen. What actually happened was that I changed. My understanding of life changed. Everything was reframed for me. I softened. A big one was that I reacted less and responded more. This doesn't mean that I'd cracked it and I was now this perfect Jesus-like human being, not at all. But I knew there was a different way, and there was another way of being. So I stopped struggling through life and resisting the flow. And I actually started feeling this privilege of existence. So going from somebody who was like, get me out of here, I think I'm done. I was like, actually, what a privilege to be here on this planet at this time. And this was all happening just before I got this role, this big, challenging, enormous, difficult role. So when they called me to lead 80 people, and at the time, the most people I'd ever managed was 5 people, I could understand why people were quite skeptical. Like, who is this person that's coming in to tell us what to do and manage us and take us through this really dark time? But when I walked into the building, and I saw the humans behind the computers, these amazing, young, eager, misunderstood humans. All these studies, they made sense. I wasn't affected by the toxicity in the environment or the scrutiny from the C-suite execs. Not even my residue imposter syndrome could stand in my way. I just had this clear understanding I could see all their potential, and that's all I could ever see. So 2 years into the role, I wondered, is this magic actually the team? It's just them. They are just an extraordinary bunch of people who are able to withstand all my ideas, all my change, my restructuring, all this, just trying these new things, and they're quite tolerant, and it's all them. I mean, you'll see on screen here, I gave them a masterclass the one day, and then we organized a Tai Chi instructor to come and give us Tai Chi on the roof in Sandton. What I didn't know was that he couldn't speak English. So not only did we not know how to do Tai Chi, but we couldn't understand what he was saying. And it was just one of the best experiences ever. And there they are in their work outfits. They showed up and they were like, okay, well, she said, let's try it. Okay, fine, we're in. And they did. So I was wondering, is it just them, or does this model actually have legs? When COVID hit, I was given another opportunity to test the model. At this stage, I was the product head for South Africa's contact tracing app. We needed to work super quickly. We needed to set up a team across entities. So it was competitive corporate organizations in South Africa. I was still working for Discovery, and Discovery's competitors had to come in, and we all had to play really well together. We also had the government, the National Department of Health, and we had Apple and Google, like two formidable tech giants who don't often play very well, actually ever play well together. And obviously it was across time zones and all over the country with team members, but we did it. And the team was in flow, everything was going great. And then South Africa gave us one more challenge, rolling blackouts. They were implemented. It was August of 2020, and I was literally having meetings by candlelight with Google. I really hated the fact that all the stereotypes of Africa were coming true, but we pushed through it. And at the time, I was still responsible for the digital team. And now I'd grown it. The team had grown to 220 people. And I was also Samuel and Gabriel's mom and Steve's wife. And also running this app for the country. And I'm telling you this because it was 3 full-time jobs at the same time. It was impossible for one human being to be everywhere at the same time. So I really had to throw in process. I had to use this model and trust and trust everyone that everything was going to work out. And it did. The contact tracing app was delivered in record time. Google used South Africa as a case study across the world to help other countries, first world countries, with their implementation and rollout. And we have a lot to be proud of as South Africans. Google was really, candlelight and all, they were so impressed. The motivation, the energy, the drive and compassion of this team. They were so motivated, and they were in it every single day, no matter what was thrown at them. As for the Discovery digital team, they still delivered, they still met commitments, and the mobile app was still sitting with an app rating between 4 and 5 stars. I had effectively worked myself out of a job. Okay, then I wondered, is it only a model that works when I'm the boss? I'm like, is it just me? Am I the magic? Yeah, that would be very cool. And so then what happened was that I was given an opportunity in January this year to set up a health ecosystem for Standard Bank, who have recently entered healthcare. And new team, new people. I was absolutely not the boss, but this was my task in the team. Set up the team, the structure, and the process. So I did. I put it in place. Team had no bricks and mortar office. There was no place for us to go. I was living in Cyprus. Other team members were in Ireland, and others were in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and scattered over South Africa. Once again, within 3 months, the team were completely self-managed. They knew what was expected of them, and they went for it, and they got it done. Then I asked just one more question. Okay, so I'm not the boss, it still works, but this has all been tech. Would this model work if it's not a tech industry and it's not a team that are building products digitally? In May this year, opportunity to have this question finally answered for me. A team came to me. It was the head of reputation management for a really big organization, over 12,000 employees in South Africa. And they've got operations in America and China as well. And she was responsible for managing the reputation of this huge organization with just 7 people. And I really loved it, especially since it was one of the first times that I got to work with a woman. Most of the work that I do, it's with men as leaders of organizations. So this was, it was a real treat, and it was awesome. We're actually still working together. But what has absolutely happened is that the team's output and delivery is not based on the leadership, that leaders' capacity. It has been completely separated. So now they can all run and they all know what direction they're going in, and they can all work independently. Okay, Maria, that's a great story. Blah, blah, blah. What's the model? So where I always start is this quote on the right-hand side of the screen. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. I'd love to say that it was Socrates, wonderful Greek guy, who wrote this quote, because I've always thought it was, but I also like checking my facts, and unfortunately, turns out it wasn't him. But no one knows exactly who said it, and in my heart, it'll always be Socrates, but I didn't want to put it on this slide because it's not completely accurate. When I start any engagement, I'm not focused on fixing what's broken. It's broken, it's not working. Let's move our attention from trying to make something work that's not working and create the new. And that's what I did at Discovery specifically. Said, okay, so it's hard. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. And it was the same story I'd heard for decades. Tech teams aren't getting along with business, and delivery isn't great, and people are upset and they want to point fingers and everybody wants to blame each other. Okay. We know what doesn't work. Why don't we try something that does work? And with that energy released from worrying about the broken parts and we're trying to fix and trying to unravel what's not working, you claim that energy and move it into the space of focusing on the direction and the path forward. And how I structure the engagement, first things first, it's always clarity. Clarity is just one of my favorite things in the whole. It's just so delicious. It's so incredible to put a step forward with certainty. You absolutely need clarity. And this is the time where we work and we sit together working out why we are here, how we do things and what we do. When we've got that in place, like I just repeat it and I use different ways of doing it until I'm absolutely sure that everybody understands, and I'll test them, like kind of give them a few tricks and like challenges on the way. And I mean, okay, yeah, you got that. That was a test. And it becomes a bit of a joke, and people might roll their eyes saying, oh my gosh, Maria, yes, we know we always start with why, but it is so important. And there's 3 building blocks that I'll use, and it's looking at mindset, process, and chi. Those building blocks all work together in implementing any change, any organization, any transformation that is required. That's for the individual as well as for the collective in the team. So mindset, any beliefs or blocks that are stopping you from believing this change is possible. The process, that's what do we need to put in place to make this flow? What do we need to learn? And what structure do we need to put in place? And then the last one, chi. This is life force. This is that force that gets you up in the morning. It was that force that got that team up during COVID, no matter what. And they were working and so dedicated to building an app for a country. They didn't know if the app would work. They didn't know if people would actually like it. And in fact, there was a lot of negativity in the press towards the app and the team that built it, but they still kept going. They were motivated. They believed that they could save lives in building this application. And that chi, when you've got it in place, the power of collective purpose. And how do we get it? Clarity. It's just, yeah, you're formidable and nothing can stop you. Okay, so let's move into the 3 specific shifts that you need and that you can use to get that high-performing team that you're looking for. Secret 1. All right, getting off the corporate hamster wheel. So this secret, and this is based on a clear understanding that I got when I became a mom and I started parenting my kids. And I quickly realized that just because that's how I was parented doesn't mean that's what's going to work for them. So in the work environment, you can think about many different examples, I'm sure, where you'll say, well, my manager, when I was your age or when I was doing this, did this to me. My manager used to tell me that I had to only leave the office when they had left. Never leave before your boss. My manager told me that I should never job hop. Luckily, I had a wonderful family member who told me that if you want loyalty, you should get a dog. All of these comments that were made when you were not in leadership that you now bring into your leadership position, are they serving the team? And did you actually enjoy it when you were in that position? Did it resonate? Did it feel good? So just because it happened doesn't mean it needs to be repeated. And the reality is that when you were in their position, it was a different world. I would have given the exact same messaging 3 years ago, pre-COVID. But now, after COVID, it is so easy for everybody to understand and appreciate this. The world is different. It's changed. What people have gone through, this extremely traumatic event that happened with COVID, the pandemic, everybody had different experiences, even though we all went through it at the same time. And you have no idea what your colleagues have been through and what they are going through today. So with that in mind, why would you want them to be exactly the way things were for you? Why would you want to use that same methodology? It's an exciting time. Newness is the opportunity that all of us can grab right now. We can reframe, rediscover, we can set the way and the path forward for everybody behind us. It really is such an exciting time. So this specific secret is it doesn't have to be the way it was for you. And specifically, copy me on everything. This one. I trust you. I trust my team so much. Just copy me on everything. And I was extremely guilty of this. Just copy me on everything. The reality was I never read those emails. I just did it because I felt that at times people cared more if they had CC'd me. They kind of like checked their English more and, you know, they were just more professional when they knew that their boss was involved. It's nonsense. It's making this environment believe that the leader has to check everything and only the leader can fix things. That's what it's a hamster wheel. It's not cool. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. Besides the fact that it's not great for the employees that work for you and the staff members that work for you. So it's a waste of time. Don't copy me on everything. If there's a problem, call me. Secret number 2, change the mindset of the business. Okay, so now this one I got from studying all these wonderful teachers and understanding neural pathways and how we can change and unlearn what we know. It's a big one for me. Stop calling people resources. So what happened when I decided that I was going to stop calling people resources was that I had to come up with new names. And every single time that I went for the R word, why am I doing this again? It's because they're people, they're human beings, they're not resources. Okay. And that meant that every single time I reminded, and it actually became a verbal anchor, which was pretty cool. An anchor to remember the learning and lesson that I wanted to get for myself. I just want to stress a little bit more on this point, this point on resources, because it is a tough one for us to change. I find with clients, it's like actually one of the last things that they are able to change. So over the weekend, I was revising grade 7 history with my 13-year-old son. And the previous weekend, we had studied economics. And what we learned with the economics section was that you get the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. The primary sector is where a country trades their natural resources. And that is farming and mining specifically. But labor came up. And then when we went into the history section of his exams, we had to, we went through South Africa's history with slave trade and then moving from slave trade into servants, which was just another name for slaves. And I felt so strongly with our history in South Africa and America, you've got it too. It's this feeling of, we really want to forget that past and we want to pretend like it never happened, right? Okay, but we can't pretend it never happened. It did happen. What can we do today and now to recover that pain that was caused by the slave trade? For one thing, let's look at our language. And it's not with judgment. It's not to judge yourself saying, oh my gosh, you're such a bad person, Maria. You use the R word, like stop it. No, it's like, wow, this is really embedded in me. With curiosity, I look at this, that I'm unable to stop using the word resource and stop looking at people and saying, what resources do you have working on this? And honestly, when you say that, you see them as balance sheet items, not as human beings. But when I stop in that moment and look at myself and just saying, it's okay, Maria. Yeah, all right. So you've got some conditioning in history, but you do see them as people. Okay, what different terms can I come up with to help me work through this particular issue? It can be quite a beautiful process. Okay, so we're going to stop calling them resources. What are we going to start calling them? Okay, so if you think your team's stupid and useless without you, they are. If you think they're brilliant, they are too. So when I started studying, this point is specifically on Dr. Joe Dispenza, when I started studying Joe, he would come up on stage with his YouTube videos and he would say, hello, geniuses. I was like, I have always wanted to be a genius. It was like when I was a kid, I just wanted to be a genius so badly. And when he called me a genius, personally, I felt really good. I was like, maybe I am a genius. I mean, that would be pretty cool. And I thought, okay, if this feels so good, what could I try calling my team instead of hello team? What else could I come up with? So I decided to call them my brilliant team. Every opportunity I got on email, dear brilliant team, in town halls, in keynotes, hello brilliant team. And guess what happened? They were absolutely brilliant. Words have power. And specifically the names that you give your team and the descriptors that you use, whether it's verbally or in your head, just know that you have the power to make that come true. So the future that you have created with clarity, the words that you use on a daily basis are taking you one step closer to that future, to the dream that you're building. The last secret. From one-hit wonders to magic over and over again. So this one, we are in the rate of change in the world is unbelievable. It's exponential. We've never grown as quickly as we are growing now than ever before. It's an unbelievable time to be alive. And innovation in the workplace is a tricky one. It can be really hard on the teams because the workplaces that typically are the most innovative with a balance sheet, just adding that caveat, with a balance sheet, are these big corporate organizations that are really hard to change and move, right? But teams have to make it work, because you want to innovate and impress your clients and it has to be meeting a certain deadline. And okay, so how do we build a plane and fly it all at the same time? What I found with my own personal journey and then working with teams was the lie that we've been fed is to focus on the goal. Just keep your eyes on the goal, keep your eyes on the goal. No, it's the process. It's process, not goal. It's journey, not destination. And I really could understand this for the very first time through corporate, through work. I had been like learning about all these, focus on the journey, and it's not about the destination. It's just that, okay, that's a great story, but I really like getting to that destination. But when it came to unpacking this within a work environment, I could tangibly understand what this means. So the next step was to cancel the end. It was the end of competition. So what I said to the team was, okay, we're focused on ourselves being better than we were last week. So I don't care about what everybody else is doing. I care about myself. And why do I care about it? Because we're excellent. So we're starting off with, it's process, not goal. We move into an understanding of, we are excellent. I'm excellent at my craft. I'm focused on my craft. And I'm not going to lift my head up to really care about the politics and everybody's so angry. No, I know where I'm going. I know what success looks like. I can actually just care and give all the SHITs about the work that I'm responsible for. I can pour my heart and energy into being the best and doing the best right here. And how do I do it? Well, okay, I did get a bit heavy-handed with this. I did say to the team, because it was the first time that they'd ever been told this, there is no more competing. There is no more being mean to each other, no more teasing each other, because as much as we think it's funny, when a joke is at the expense of another, it's not great, it's not good. That person doesn't feel good even if they're laughing, and that is an indication of competition, because we want to be seen, validated, we want to be respected, appreciated, all those great things at work. So that teasing, that competitive nature, all of that was like dulling the energy of the team, and their chi was being impacted. Chi. So I love the secret. The secret. Process, not goal. Journey, not destination. Focus on being excellent. It's your excellence in this moment right now. I am excellent. I am so happy with myself. Am I a better version than I was last week? And when it comes to my team members, I'm interested in their well-being, and are they better versions than they were last week? It can get complicated, but when you get through this muddy water and unpack any issues that come up for you with this, because a lot of people really want to be competitive. In fact, that's our nurture, not nature. Competitiveness is definitely nurture. I'm open to some questions in the chat on this point. But our true nature, I mean, if you look at kids, yeah, they don't want to share. But babies are like really intrigued with each other. They touch each other with love, and toddlers, the way they play together, they don't want to compete. They're like, Let's do this whole life thing together and see what happens. And when you can create that environment of safety and openness at work, gosh, that's when you see true creativity and excellence coming through. Okay, so I'm going to play this video, and I'm going to hope that the volume is not too, yeah, okay. So this is what it looks like when you get this right. And it's not easy. I've told you about these examples, and like within 3 months we did this, and then in 2 years, and sometimes it takes much longer. And it depends on where your team's at, where you meet them, and how open they are to changing, and how open they are to releasing these old thought patterns and the way they think work and life should be. But when you get it right, you get to experience in real life this on screen. This is emergence. This is starling murmurings. I absolutely love watching these formations. You can have 100 to 100,000 birds all at the same time, flying in perfect harmony and unison. They don't bump each other, they don't crash, they don't fight. And it's been something that we as humans have studied for decades. I mean, in the 1930s, there was a theory that they were psychic. They were like, no, we don't know how they do it, but we think they're psychic. But actually, as it turns out, it's far simpler than that. They only care about the 7 birds around them. So I only care about the one in front, behind, below, on top. 7 birds, that's it. And they all know where they're going and why. Can you start seeing this analogy? And it's 2 things. One is safety and the other one is eating. So safety, when they are power in numbers, and you would have noticed a couple of seconds before, there is a eagle coming for them, a bird of prey. And what they do is, actually it's still here on screen, what they do is they create this big size formation. And instead of being this little bird that's so easy to be just nibbled on by this bird of prey, it's now this huge body that the bird of prey has to take on, and they don't. And then the other one is food. When they fly down like this with the wind movements, they are able to eat more. Absolutely incredible. This is emergence in practice. So right now, I'm passionate about changing the way the world sees work. It doesn't have to be pain or sacrifice. It doesn't have to be struggle. If we reframe our mindset, we can make it into something extraordinary. This is where we spend our days. This is life at work. And it can be a place for respect, connection, and growth. I personally want to live in a world where we feel truly fulfilled every day, all of us. And I want my boys to live in a world where they can be truly fulfilled, where they're not feeling the stress to work as hard as possible so that they can climb a corporate ladder and they can get to the top so that they can have anxiety and end up going on antidepressants and all these weird, crazy things that we've taken for granted now as normal. We just think that it's absolutely okay. Right now, I've got programs for CEOs, execs, and leaders of teams. I work with the top because I want systemic change. And when top leadership do not buy into this change, it doesn't work. But that doesn't mean that you can't implement these changes right now, all of us, because effectively we're the leaders of our lives, right? So my Thriving Leader in Business is open for 2023. This is my flagship program. It's a 6-month immersion, and it transforms your entire business. And I work with the leadership, as I've mentioned before, and my reason is for that systemic change. Enrollments are open. You can book a call with me, and we can chat about your action plan going into 2023. It's no obligations. You can use the action plan yourself. You don't have to enroll with the Thriving Leader. The course does start at 50,000 Rand, 2,700 euros. And it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I wish I had it when I had started off on my leadership journey. And here are some testimonials just to share with you. And these are these wonderful men that I've been very privileged to work with. And before we end and we move into the chat and any questions, I just want to thank you for booking this time and for joining me in. It does feel like this unveiling of this work that's kind of been growing inside me for a few years now. And I'm not sure exactly who ended up showing up on the call, but whoever you are very special to me. And yeah, so thank you for being here. And I hope that some of this information can be really useful to you and that it's resonated with you and that you can take it, use it, and be part of this movement and this change in the world where we do have a place of work that is awesome. It's kind, it's beautiful. We want to go there. And actually we understand that work doesn't happen to us, just like life. It's like we create the work that we want to spend our days in. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you all. And I am open for some questions.